Alright, we're back for part 3 of the whiskey play. I've chugged some more whiskey, so things might get interesting. Um, we have executed a pretty good hammer anvil attack on the first bull run, so I think we're doing a little better than the real life Union Army did at this point. Probably largely due to the fact that I've handicapped the Confederacy, because that's the way I roll when I'm having whiskey and not used to a game before. Um, Anyway, we're about to get counterattacked from the south by the Confederate forces, so we're in a bit of a precarious spot here. I'm going to go ahead and hit click to continue. So here we go. We're exhausted. The rebels are coming. We should defend our positions. Okay, so now all of a sudden we're the defenders. I'm going to go ahead and hit pause. We're going to check our overall troop dispensation. I got some cavalry hanging out up here. It's not really doing anything. So I'm going to move them down to try to help guard this ford. I'm going to move Sherman across, and I'm going to move Sherman over here to this group of trees here. I'm going to try to continue the rest of my attack with Wilcox. Actually, with Wilcox, shoot. I'm having a hard time deciding what to do here. Oh man, they've attacked across towards my cannons here. I'm going to go ahead and go get them with Tyler. Tyler's going to go ahead and charge them. They're wavering morale. They're not doing great, but they are in amongst my cannons. So the cavalry battalion is also going to charge in. I got to get rid of them. Stewart's over here. He could cause me some trouble. I moved Porter up to this little town to guard this crossing as well. Because in real life, the Rebs came across over to our west here and flanked us. So I feel like I need Porter there. Boy, I'm all spread to hell all over the place. I'm actually going to bring this cavalry down and help out in here rather than that. Keyes is fine where he's at. Franklin's fine where he's at. We're going to keep working on this infantry groups in here. Going to march into town with Burnside and Howard. Going to try to take the town in this forest before we get counterattacked from the south, because this is going to need to be our defensive line. And if we end up getting crushed from both sides, then all of a sudden we're going to be between the hammer and the anvil rather than the other way around. But hopefully we can smash into these. There really isn't that many troops left here. We got a little bit of artillery, 1,000 men, 1,500 men, 1,700 men, but I've got 6,000 men. It's and even more basically. So Keyes, I'm gonna get across the river here. We're gonna go ahead and double quick with him to get him across the river. That's gonna be a little dicey, but once he's on the other side of the river, I can have him work into this area and try to really work on this group of Rebs while Franklin's got them pinned down from this side. Let's go ahead and hit play. Okay, we've routed them. Burnside's going to go ahead and take shelter in that town. I'm going to have Wilcox take shelter in this forest to defend us from the south. We're going to presumably have some Rebs coming up from the south. We got to get into this forest here with Sherman. Keyes is across the river already. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and hit pause again. So we've already smashed into this group. Our cavalry needs to probably come back. Cavalry, let's come back here and make sure McDowell's okay. I'm going to move Tyler over here to this flank and make sure my cannons are guarded from Stewart's potential advances. Same thing with my cavalry over here. Let's go ahead and move forward a little bit. Alright, Sherman needs to get... Basically, I'm going to draw a line across here from the town on top of Henry's Hill to this forest to this forest. I'm going to try to dispense my troops as well as I possibly can. I'm going to move Wilcox a little further into the forest there. Alright, Sherman's driving these skirmishers before him, and we'll just let him do whatever he's going to do there. Got the route. The route is on, my friends. I'm going to move my supplies up so they can get in amongst my cannons. I like where Tyler's going. My cavalry's routed. I got some cavalry that's routed. That's okay. I'm actually going to try to move my supplies over. These guys are all out of ammo basically over here. So yeah, my supplies we're going to move over there. Let's go ahead and hit pause now because we got some people coming up from the south. Bonham's the first real force we've seen. We're going to have to turn Wilcox around so he's in the trees facing this way. Let's try and smash into these morons before... Let's go ahead and face this way with Howard and move forward. Let's go ahead and face this way with Keyes and move forward. I just kind of want to really make sure I do as much damage to these guys that are in my rear area as I possibly can right now. Because we've got a new attack coming up from the south. Alright, so I've really got them trapped here. They're all routed. We've done a great job of routing everybody in this area, but the Confederates have new troops coming up from the south. So with Keyes, I'm going to get Keyes. I'm going to have Keyes move forward. This is a very interesting scenario because Cook or whatever is coming up, and he's got a heck of a large group, 3,000 men. So I'm going to go ahead and reinforce Wilcox with Keyes here. Move Keyes forward into Wilcox's area. I'm going to move Howard forward, rotate Howard, move Howard forward. That way we can come down on the flank of Cook if we need to. Sherman's firing on Cook's flank pretty well. All these groups are pretty well routed. I'm going to come across the crossing with Porter here, just to make sure we're holding down this side of the crossing. So unfortunately we're technically flanked right now because I've left about 1,200 troops in my rear area, which sucks. So I'm going to come straight across the river. I'm going to have Franklin charge across the river, which is probably suicidal, but I should have those dudes pretty worn down by now. I'm going to go ahead and rotate Howard. Alright, let's hit pause and take a look at what our battlefield looks like. So, like I said, the Confederates are coming up en masse to our south. We got Keyes trying to join into this wood line with Wilcox, which I think is a good idea. Howard is kind of a little stranded out here on the flank. Porter is just across the crossing of the creek, and he still has a pretty good amount of troops that he has to deal with over there. Our artillery is still plinking away at the leftovers. Franklin's coming across. We're going to try to secure our rear area here. So I think we've actually done a pretty good job of securing our rear area. Now let's see if we can hold out. As of right now, we have very loose control of Henry's farm, but not for long because we have about 6,000 troops coming up. Fortunately, we're on the defensive. We've got 8 to 9 to 10,000 troops. We've got about 10,000 troops scattered across here, so I think we should be able to do okay. We've also got artillery backing, but none of them are too well within range. Anyway, we'll go forward I think we'll go slowly forward. I need to slow it down at this point to see what I got going on. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. So Porter is in pretty good cover. He's fighting as Johnston and B. He's got pretty good sized group there. Tyler is going to come down on the 2nd Virginia group and shoot at them. My cavalry is going to come down there too. Howard might end up charging in against these guys. Sherman's still doing a good job firing against Cook's group. My supplies are in there, so I don't know why we're running out of ammo. So Franklin's in a melee attack. He's doing great. We've got all sorts of Confederates trapped behind us, which is a little dangerous. Porter's holding this ford against B right now. Stewart's still running around like an asshole back here, but that's what Stewart will do. Fortunately, he's only got a little under 300 men. Sherman's here in the woods. I think Sherman's got pretty good cover, 88% cover. Wilcox has got 78% cover. Keyes has got 78% cover. Burnside's got 67% cover. So, you know, we've got very, very good cover compared to the Confederates. Howard's the only one I'm a little worried about, and he's still got 46% cover. Howard is running low on ammo is the only thing. His supply's fairly low, so that might be a bit of an issue. Porter only at 39% cover, so I don't have him in a great spot, but generally I think we're okay. Let's watch how things play out here. Alright, so Howard I want to rotate. Porter's about to do B in, I think. Let's go ahead and move Tyler forward here. Franklin, where are you going, you dummy? Franklin, are you running away? You idiot. Everybody's running away down there. Keyes, I don't know where Keyes is going, but Keyes needs to just start shooting. Halt, Keyes. You've left cover for some reason. Lord knows why. Why has Wilkes left cover? You guys were in perfect cover earlier, and now you're not. Howard is going to move forward. Try and hold the line there. Wilcox is going to move just a hair forward. Rotate, keep straight that way. We got the Rebs falling back all across the line here. Howard's starting to run low on ammo. Got pretty good supply other than that. Gonna move on Stewart with Tyler here. Trying to get across the river with Franklin here is difficult. Porter is doing an admirable job against both Smith and Bartow. That's quite the attack he's fighting off right now. Ewell's coming on strong here. Porter looks like he might be about to break, but I've got Tyler back behind him. Franklin needs to get across the river. Franklin is in poor cover in the river. I got Hampton's Legion in my rear area. That'll happen. Let's see if we can go kill him with the Secesh. The Secesh won't probably attack him, but maybe they will. Is Porter still holding strong? He's barely holding. Alright, Porter retreat back across the ford. That's fine. I've got Tyler there to back you. Tyler, we're going to hold right there. So between Porter and Tyler, we should be able to hold the ford. Howard, Burnside. Howard needs Keys. I don't know where Keys is going. Keys, get back into the forest. Actually, Howard can get in the forest. Keys, we will rotate you right there. Alright, Franklin's across the river now. That's great. I don't know why we're still shooting at Hampton's Legion. Let's shoot at these assholes here, guys. Come on, let's shoot these guys. Yeah, keep firing into them over here. Right, Porter. Have we gotten control of Porter yet? Yep, we got in control of Porter. So let's shift Porter around. Face this way. Porter and Tyler now hold the ford. Keys, I'm going to halt you right there, friend. I want to try to keep my lines consolidated, and my assholes are marching around everywhere. Alright, Howard, stay there now. Keys, rotate around, stay here. Okay, we baited him in a little bit. Alright, Howard, rotate around. Now Burnside should be able to help out. And I'm going to say halt. Hold your ground, Howard. Or Keys. Howard, rotate around. Howard doesn't have much ammo left. Let's try and get our supply wagon across the river here. So Howard gets some supplies eventually. Once Howard gets rotated around, we're going to have Howard hold as well. I'm pretty pleased with my line here. Try and get my cavalry across the river here. Let's move Franklin up. These Rebs are dead. Let's go Reb hunting with these idiots. Let's try to hold this farm with you guys. Let's make sure we keep the Rebs on the run with my cavalry. Alright. I think everything is generally going pretty good. Let me hit pause here and just make sure. So I got this one group, Hampton's Legion of 500. It's in my rear area. Not too pleased about that. I'm going to try and move Ricketts up here, Griffin up here, fire on these guys. Hunt, Ayers, and the 2nd U.S. are all firing on Bonham. That's good. So I want to make sure these guys are both firing on Smith. Keys is in an okay spot. Franklin's coming up to help support. That'll be nice. I'm actually going to have Franklin move up probably to the center here. And we're going to form our defensive perimeter around this town. Burnside will be the reserve. He'll be in town. Where's Howard going? Howard, stop moving. Stop it! Wilcox, stop moving. You idiots. You're moving out of cover, you dummies. Here come the supplies. Don't worry about it. We're parking the supplies right behind you. Howard, no! Howard, stop moving. Stop. Stop. You're marching away from the battle. I don't know why Wilcox is leaving cover. Nobody knows. My supplies are now empty. Got no supplies left. Fortunately, Franklin is the boss Tom Turkey here. Franklin, the BTT, is coming up. Working forward. And then we're going to halt with Franklin right where he's at. Porter can go move forward and fire on their flank. Tyler can move forward and fire on their flank as well. Where are we going, Keys? Don't run away. Oh, Hampton's Legion. Go get Hampton's Legion, you Rebs who are now mine. This is an interesting battle. Let me go ahead and hit pause, make sure I had everything where I want it. We've consolidated our lines in front of this hill here. Sherman is holding off Bonham. Wilcox is running away for some reason. Howard, everybody's sidling over. Lord knows why. Fortunately, I've got Porter coming up, but Porter's on the wrong side of the creek and outnumbered. So I don't know why my troops keep moving east. I have no clue. Wilcox and Howard need to be back over here. And in fact, I'm going to move Wilcox around. I'm going to actually swing Wilcox around to here and see if that helps. I'm going to halt Keys right there. You're fine, Keys. Alright, so Sherman has broken Bonham over here, which is pretty key. So Wilcox is moving around behind. Alright, hit him up. Charge him. Are you going to do anything about him? The South Carolinians are not going to do anything here, are they? I've left all these idiots in my rear area. I don't have enough cavalry over here to help. Alright, good thing Wilcox is coming around. I think I've got a pretty stable fight going here. I'm completely out of supplies, mind you. So I'm going to move Howard just a little bit forward to kind of align with Sherman here. I still got to worry about Cook's gigantic 2,700, 2,800 group of infantry there. But I'm smashing into their flank here. I've routed B. I'm going to move Porter back across the river. Tyler's going to move up a little bit. Hold with Howard. They're exhausted. I don't know why they're leaving again. Why are you guys leaving the battlefield? You're just marching home now? Oh Lord, this is not good. Cook's coming. Howard, let's move back. You idiots are exhausted. It's not going to be good for you to be there. Porter coming forward on Bartel's flank. Alright, Howard, let's flip around. Alright, so we're all the way across the river here, and Wilcox can move a bit forward to kind of shore our defenses up. Hampton's Legion is in our rear area still, but that's okay. They're taking a lot of arty fire from us. Let's move forward just a little bit, Porter, to make sure we're not in the river. Tyler's getting smacked by Holmes. Keys is out of ammo. Who is routed? Tyler looks like he's holding strong. Nope, Tyler's might be routed. Holmes has been picked apart though. Both sides are routed. Well, we're going to stay on this side of the Warrenton Pike if we have nothing else to give. I'm going to move my artillery forward just a bit. My supplies are empty. I've really only got one large group of infantry left, honestly. Tyler, come back, buddy. You don't want to run over there and find Jeb Stuart. Ricketts is going to fire at B here. Alright, we've pretty much got Henry Hill Farm and the forest surrounding it under lock and key at this point. We just basically have the Confederates outnumbered right now, and really they're attacking, so it's just going to get even worse for them. Move Tyler up to the town again. I'm a little bit fortunate in that I left Stuart and Hampton's Legion in my rear areas, and they're not doing as much to my cannons as they potentially could. I don't know why. What are these assholes shooting at me? You idiots. Get out of here. We've converted you into my team. Ugh. Those were guys I captured. I should have ran them away further. So all my cannons are more or less out of ammo. Alright, cavalry, let's go. Let's go get these morons and kill them. This has been a really impressive battle all around, I think. Tyler's going to fire at Smith. Porter's going to fire at B. It'll be interesting to see what comes of this. We've got a bit of an impasse right now, and I'm running out of ammo. They've still got 2,500 men, 3,200, 5,000, 7,000, 8,000, basically 9,000 men. I've got 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Let's say they got about 10,000 men, I got about 15,000 men on the battlefield, and I'm defending at this point. And really, I don't see what they're going to do here other than hope that I run out of ammo. No, don't do that. No, stop charging. Halt. Porter, start. Turn. Shift. Turn. Right there, Porter. Stay. Stay, Porter. I didn't mean to... I was trying to click over here. I'm gonna run McDowell over here, get him up with my actual infantry, and exert his sphere of influence. And I think I'm gonna try to fold up their flank here. So I'm gonna move Howard just a bit forward. Bring Howard in range of Cook. Make sure Hunt and everybody else is firing at Cook. They are. Alright, so once Howard is in range of Cook, Sherman's in 100% condition. I'm going to drag Sherman through to there. Now Cook's trying to wheel to march to match Sherman. That's going to be a mistake. Actually, I'm going to halt once I reach range for them. Halt. And I'm going to fire at Cook. So Cook's really the major group I need to bring down here. Shift, march in this way, swing them around, march into the forest, friends. There we go. Now Cook has to turn or be flanked either way. Once we reach this forest, now you're in trouble. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and finish the battle. I think we've won at this point. Oh, let's see what happens. Cook's charging here. We actually outnumber him with Sherman and we're flanking him. Franklin, go ahead and hit Bonham. Once Cook's down, I think they're about toast. So we'll see if Cook retreats here. Sherman needs to hold. Don't chase. We want to hold in this group of woods here. March forward on Bonham. No, hold, Sherman, hold. Hold, 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 hold. Oh, Sherman got smoked at point blank range. Turn around, Sherman. Fire on Bonham right there. Alright, I think I turned him. I'm going to go ahead and call this a victory. We held the hill. I don't think they can take it at this point. We just kind of turned the corner on their one major group that was left. Cook could come back and attack multiple times at this point, but in reality the Confederates would presumably retreat at this point. And we've taken the hill. So anyways, I'm going to call that a victory. I think I did a pretty good job. The only downsides is I left some enemies in my rear area. Hampton's Legion here, busy shooting at my cavalry right now. We'll go ahead and charge them. Why not? Smack into them. Cavalry's outnumbered 5-1, but hey, that's what they're good for, right? I still don't know why Howard's marching away everywhere. Howard must be a wuss or something. He just starts walking away. Rotate Howard. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and finish the game there. So we've won victory for First Bull Run for the Union. The forces engaged were pretty equal, with the exception of me having more guns total. I had 42 guns engaged, I had 26 guns engaged. Cavalry was pretty even, infantry was about 20,000 each initially. The goals, I held Henry Hill, so that was the victory condition, and I inflicted at least 15% more casualties than the enemy, and that was probably due to my being on easy mode, basically. So I had one officer wounded, 2 officers wounded, several promoted. I captured a fair amount of equipment from the enemy here. So a lot of farmer muskets, a few Sharps muskets, and some hunter's rifles. My overall units are pretty interesting. Let's go ahead and look at our casualties. So we lost about 6,000 men and 1 gun. The Confederates lost 10,000 men and 16 guns. We lost a hair bit more cavalry than they did. And that's not surprising. The Union cavalry was not good compared to the Confederate cavalry in real life. So I'm sure when we came to blows there, My guys lost out for sure, and I kept kind of losing track of my cavalry. I'll have to do a better job of that in the future, I think. But generally speaking, I probably had, you know, 30%, 30 to 40% difference in kills, which is pretty solid given that I was attacking for most of the battle. It certainly wasn't like that in real life, and let's go ahead and give credit to the 25% bonus that I was given in number of troops and the efficiency of my troops, I suppose. But still, I think we outperformed even the bonus that we were given, and we're able to snatch a victory from Bull Run here. I think the second phase of the battle is really where I won it. I was able to actually pull off that hammer and anvil attack, which was pretty cool. I used essentially the river as my anvil with enough troops on the other side of it to keep them from retreating across it, and I basically pinched in, and they eventually did manage to escape kind of through this area here with a fair amount of troops that then were able to join the battle again. But generally speaking, I was able to really hammer everybody that was on Henry Hill initially prior to the counterattack. And then once the counterattack started, I also remembered the historical significance of the fact that the Confederates kind of flanked to the west here, so I was able to hold down this ford and make sure that I didn't get that taken and flanked. And since I was able to hold down that ford and this ford, I was then able to basically just draw a defensive line straight across. And I didn't quite have interior lines, but I had basically I turned exterior lines into a straight line for my defensive stance, and I was able to have better cover by taking that little farmhouse on Henry's Hill and the forest here and the forest here. My final maneuver was to bring Sherman in from this forest to flank their infantry, and that's kind of what turned the end of the battle and gave me the victory. So overall, I was pretty pleased with my performance there. I'm really pleased with the game itself. Being able to fight a historic battle like this and play kind of a role that I'm familiar with from reading about is pretty cool. It's definitely it's enough influenced by history that you feel like you're in the battle, but it's not completely on rails either. I was able to make my own decisions, obviously informed by what actually happened. I'll look at that as like my intelligence that I'd gathered. I knew that we had enemy reinforcements coming in from the south, so I'll pretend that my intelligence was really good. The actual Union didn't have that good of an intelligence, obviously. That's why they got surprised by the counterattack. But given my better intelligence of hindsight, I think I did pretty well here in this mission. So I'm looking forward to playing some other battles here, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video.